Hey everybody, welcome to Vacuum Wars, and today, instead of reviewing a vacuum, I wanted to talk about all the products I didn't review this year. I sometimes buy products that I start to test and get footage for, but for one reason or another, I never end up publishing a review. And I'll start off with one that I was testing just this week, which is the Samsung Clean Station, which is a sort of auto empty bin for Samsung cordless vacuums, which I was really interested to see if that was a product category that I would want to recommend in the future. And it did work really well. It had a lot of suction. It removed even compacted debris perfectly in the various tests I did. It also had excellent filtration, which after thinking about it would be critical for a product like this because the main selling point is that it offers the user a very clean bin emptying experience without spreading dust around. And they did everything right. It has a sealed HEPA system, it has activated charcoal filters, so it's like air filter quality construction. And Samsung cordless vacuums also have excellent filtration, so I do think that this product line would be good for a person that was hyper concerned about allergens and filtration, etc. The reason I didn't publish the review is that I found out later that the bags that collect the debris have been out of stock for like a year, which basically renders the product useless, and the people that bought it are not particularly happy about it, so I decided to just shelf that review until that issue gets resolved. Another example is the Bissell Iconpet robot vacuum. I bought this one a number of months ago and was really excited about it because it advertised a huge amount of suction power, 7,000 pascals of suction compared to the average of around 2,000 pascals for other premium robot vacuums. In fact, I think it's the highest advertised suction on a robot vacuum I personally own, and it did have the highest suction numbers I've seen by a long shot in my tests. The airflow was also the highest I'd seen of modern robot vacuums, though not quite as far from the average as its suction numbers were. All that power didn't really translate as much as I was hoping to its cleaning performance. For example, with the carpet deep clean test, its scores were above average, but still lower than every Roomba I've tested, and many other premium vacuums as well, so it was a bit disappointing. But the reason I never reviewed it is that from what I could tell, Bissell never ended up doing a wider release of this vacuum. I found it on their website when I bought it, and I got the impression that there were problems with it because they never really advertised it, and the few reviews I could find were bad, and now it seems that they've discontinued the vacuum altogether. Another robot vacuum from Bissell that I didn't review is the Spinwave. This is a robot vacuum / mop with a unique spinning brush design. I tested it in a number of ways and was not particularly impressed with it. It didn't have much power, its scores on the deep clean test were really below average, and as far as its mopping, I can't really remember it being particularly impressive compared to other robot vacuum mop combos. I say I can't remember because I ended up losing the footage from the whole shoot, and I never really had the motivation to reshoot any of it because it wasn't that impressive in any respect other than it being a novel idea. Next up is the Eufy Robovac X8 Hybrid. This was announced last year at CES, the main innovation being a dual motor design, so it has two 2,000 pascal motors. Eufy says this increases the airflow by 80%, and in my tests, I did find it had a lot of airflow, the third most I'd ever seen actually. The problem I had with the Eufy X8 was its performance scores, particularly with the deep clean test where it got one of the lowest scores I've ever seen on a robot vacuum that has a brush roll. I tested it over and over again to make sure and got very consistent, very below average scores, which is not normal for Eufy. Even Eufy's cheaper vacuums do much better than this in this test. So I inspected it as thoroughly as I could, but could see no logical reason that it was so bad. So I'm leaning towards the idea that I have a defective unit, but I decided to just sit on it and wait and see if other reviewers notice the same thing. I had a similar experience with the Shark Vacmop AI robot vacuum. The interesting thing about this one is that it uses a front-mounted LiDAR design for its navigation and obstacle avoidance. I tested it pretty thoroughly. I never finished the review because I had trouble completing the mopping tests due to a malfunction in the spraying mechanism. I never could find if it was a defect in the one that I had or not, but I suspected it was a software glitch since I was testing this very early on after its release. I planned on retesting it after there were a few more software updates, but I haven't got around to it yet, and the reviews I've seen for it are just so-so anyway, so it's not exactly high on my to-do list right now. Next up is the Kenmore crossover upright corded vacuum, and I've really liked what Kenmore is doing recently. They have an all new lineup of pretty innovative vacuums. So I bought the Kenmore crossover, which is one of their more expensive offerings, and I was really excited about it because all their marketing material says it has a quote 2-motor design. And I thought that they meant that it had 2 suction motors, which makes vacuums really powerful. And I thought, wow, if Kenmore had done this in such a small package, it would be a real game changer. But I quickly realized that what they meant by it having a 2-motor design was that it had a regular suction motor and a motor to spin the brush roll, which pretty much every modern vacuum has. I still planned on doing a review on the Kenmore crossover before I did this video, but it just kept getting pushed back, mostly because I just couldn't find anything particularly interesting to say about it. Anyway, Happy New Year to everyone. Big plans for Vacuum Wars for the coming year. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching.